Hello and welcome back after a while to another dungeon review. Today we're looking at Coilfang Reservoir, specifically the first wing, which is called the Slave Pens. Coilfang Reservoir is a large artificial lake in Zangarmarsh in the Outland, which is operated by the Naga. It has 3 dungeon wings, which are the Slave Pens, the Underbog and the Steam Vault, and then one 25-man raid, which is Serpent Shrine Cavern. In terms of lore, the official website states that the delicate ecology of Zangarmarsh has been thrown out of balance. Unnatural phenomena are corrupting and destroying the marsh's native flora and fauna. This disturbance has been traced to the foreboding Coilfang Reservoir. It is rumoured that the leader of this mysterious edifice is none other than the infamous Lady Vash. Only you can discover her nefarious plans and stop them before it's too late. Coilfang Reservoir is divided into 4 areas, 3 of which are 5-man dungeons, in addition to the 25-man raid dungeon, Serpent Shrine Cavern. So, in the middle of the Serpent Lake is this big kind of building structure, which has 2 substructures lined up to the west and east. Towards the centre is the centre of the whole thing, which is where the entrance to the dungeons are down in between the 2 inner intersections. The entrance turns horizontal and leads you into the antechamber to the Coilfang Reservoir dungeons. According to the lore, the Naga have taken over this area because they want to control the water in Draenor or the Outland, and it's not clear why. We know that the water's drying up, it's becoming rare, but we're not sure why. Whether they want to take it over so that they control the water, so they're in charge, or just because they're water-dwelling creatures, so they want the water. Or there is a theory that they're like trying to create a new well of eternity, which I'm not quite sure has much back to it, so I'm not sure about that theory. The Slave Pens gives Cenarian Expedition rep through friendly on normal, and if you do the heroic, it does it through exalted, and an average heroic run will give you 1850 rep. Now, the first boss is Menu the Betrayer. He is a Draenei who betrayed his kind and now works for Illidan, and under the rule of Lady Vash. He is probably responsible for all the caged broken in the Slave Pens. He's also the guard of the Slave Pens. And he's a good example of a broken who's turned Illidan's reign of terror to his advantage. By betraying his fellow Draenei, he's gained favour with the Naga. But that's also corrupted his shaman training, which means he has sort of... his totems are broken or like tainted. And they're and so his corrupted totems make it quite an interesting fight, because although he's got a lot of health and he's just sort of you need to hit him down, you need to focus on the totems too, because if they get out of hand, they get nasty. And he's the first of 3 bosses in Slave Pens. It's all fairly well designed, and sticks to the Naga theme quite well. I like the music especially because it gives you the whole, it really does shout Naga, and it really makes it feel kind of alien. There was talk of Naga as a playable race in upcoming expansions. Not sure what I think on that, because I'm not sure, given their lore, if they'd aligned to either the Alliance or the Horde. So we'll wait and see on that, but that'll be an interesting one. I assume it'd be Horde, but I can't say. And I think I'm not convinced on the sheer number of races they keep implementing in the game, but that's another story. Anyway, we're coming up to the second boss in the Slave Pens. Here we are, Rockmar the Crackler. He is the lord of the Zangarmarsh Bogstrock. Somehow he's grown to insane proportions for a Bogstrock. Normally they're much smaller. And they've subjugated him into protecting the subterranean domain of the Naga somehow. Or maybe they've just let him remain in his state, as long as he kind of kills intruders. If threatened, he will enrage and kill any creatures that do not belong in his domain by using his tearing claws and water blasting abilities. This fight isn't too complicated really. I mean, certainly nowadays with Mist you can tank and spank most early dungeon bosses. Don't quote me on that. But I thought it was fairly simple. No real tactics, apart from the tank's got to know what he's doing, as per usual. Interestingly, now I normally do these fights in a pickup group, which leads to some interesting group combinations, and this is a particularly interesting one, as you'll see in the last fight. This I didn't completely use pickup group. I'm actually with Liam here, who you'll know from some of my other videos, who's playing the DPS priest. And yeah, this group didn't get on very well. We had problems with the tank, who just kept dying, and the healer was just sort of refusing to heal a lot of the time and just being stubborn. And everyone was just sort of complaining. It's always fun when you get that group, and everyone always has a story, I think, from dungeon groups when they haven't gone right or someone said something stupid. So if you do have any funny stories, I'd love to hear them. But yeah, the last fight in this dungeon is a particularly good example of why group mechanics are quite important. There's also a good variety of like structured things to just like caves and natural things. Things is a bad word, but like what's built up inside the dungeon, whether it's Naga made or it's just shaped out caves. It's a good variety, which makes it appealing to look at, I think. The Burning Crusade expansion as a whole was just great, to be honest. Here we go, big group chat. Right, now the last boss, Miran. Basically just a big ass dude who lives underwater. He's a fungal giant, an ancient bog lord who presumably resided here for a great length of time within the natural cave system. It's unknown whether he's controlled by the Naga. But he does hit quite hard, and your group has to just sort of know what they're doing. And as you'll see here, the healer doesn't do the best job, and the two DPSs, me included, don't end up so well. So there's Liam dead, there's me dead, and so it's the tank, and the healer's dead too, so it's the tank and the DPS just managed to finish him off without us. But yeah, it's pretty close shave, I'd have to say. Not one of the best groups I've been in. But it is a great dungeon, and it's a good fun fight. So I'm going to be having more dungeon runs up soon, and to continue my quest to do them all. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting, informative, or just entertaining, and I'll see you all next time.